Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the P-Bandai exclusive, or P-Bandai exclusive, HD Beguir Beu Torche, or Torche. So here is the name. Once again, as you can tell, I am struggling to pronounce this mobile suit's name as usual. So once again, just want to point that out for reference. So once again, these are one of those P-Bandai kits. This specific model or unit is not actually seen in the main anime. Obviously from a side story thing, but once again we do see its main, its main original version and its mass production type. So once again, if you have or bought or purchased one of those two units previously, you should know, or you can kind of expect what to, you can kind of expect the build, how this is going to turn out, because obviously the structure is overall the same. The legs, the leg part, the main body, the arms, they're pretty much the same build. Of course, like there are some minor changes, such as like in the shoulders there is like an extra armor piece that you have to slap on, but other than that, overall structure is like the same. But of course, at the same time, there are new equipment here. So like for example, you can see the gigantic legs or gigantic side pieces. I'll get into that later. And then the back, like binders that are not actually connected to the back, but also technically on the back of the waist. So yeah, there are some new changes to look at this as well. So once again, let's get over the review as well. Now once again, as much as I would love to do a comparison with the previous two units, I cannot find them in my house. Once again, owning a lot of kits, they always become very difficult to find every time you need them. Alright, so yeah. So no comparisons are going to be made, but I will try to make as much as reference as possible. Alright, so a lot of the weapons or equipment are technically attached or stored onto the unit itself. So obviously, so we'll get into that later, but first of all, as usual, let's go over the components. So first of all, what you get, of course, obviously is the main mole suit itself. There are some already equipment attached, we'll get into later, and here are the other stuff that you should be getting. So let's get over the typical stuff. So you do get two beam saber effect parts, the typical beam saber effect parts that we usually see, so no big difference or no big deal. And then here we get a beam rifle. Now this is, I believe, a new type of beam rifle. Now, because I believe the mass production type actually had like a more of a bazooka beam cannon kind of thing. Now this is a more of a typical beam rifle. So this might be actually a new mold here. So you still have the main handle and then the front handle that moves left and right. And oops, I keep dropping stuff. Here we have the main sticker for the scope here. No big deal. And then here we have the sticker sheet. So you can see we still have, so here was the main rifle sticker, the scope sticker, and then here we still have the main oval shaped ones that goes into the shoulder and onto the side, not sides, but yeah, technically sides, but that goes into the legs. And then we have the eyes. Now you might be wondering, we have two sets of eyes, because in this unit you have to choose whether to make this head I made or the other variant. So depending on which head you make, you have to choose which sticker to use. Obviously the main eye, I believe, is the same thing, but I believe if you go for the other variants, you have to attach more stickers onto the clear piece. So I decided to go with the more simple one as well. Alright, so let's look at because this is a P-Bandai exclusive kit, most of the time they have like these leftover parts. So let's see what we got. So this one is technically a repeat. I believe this is one of the main connector points for the back unit, but once again you only need one. So we have that leftover pieces. Now you can see I technically cut off from the plate just to save space, because having the gigantic empty plate is always taking a lot of spaces. So yeah, here we have some leftover parts from the original kit. So here we have these parts, which I believe, if I remember correctly, these are the parts that are supposed to hold in the blades. Now you don't get the blades in here, so yeah, these are actually completely useless. And then here we have these parts, which are also from the original, that goes onto the backpack, that connects these pods here. So the connected pods here, so yeah. Now here we have that other headpiece I was talking about. So here, if you decide to make the other head, you have to use these parts, but keep in mind they only give you parts enough to make one. So as you can see, as the leftover, you don't see the bottom part of the head, because they only give you one, so you actually do need to choose here. So yeah, you can see the extra part here, which so for this part you have to slap on the eye stickers, and then you have to top it off with this part, which also requires you to put more stickers onto the side. But once again, applying stickers on this type of piece is going to be challenging. Alright, we've seen the components. Now let's look at the main kit itself. Alright, so let's start from top to bottom. So obviously some parts are going to be very familiar or pretty much the same as the previous kits. So let's go over this really quickly. So for the head, once again, this, I believe the head pretty much follows the original style, but the main difference here is that it has these long bunny ear type design here. So other than that, there's not much of a difference. Still the eyes and the inside, no big deal. And then on top here, we still have that symbol or that, you know, extra camera going on there. So head-wise, obviously, because there is another ball joint, there is a double ball joint piece here that connects from the main body and to the head here, each one as well. So which gives it a good range of movement, so it can go down that much and oops. That may have been a little bit too much, but once again, it can go look moderately up a good amount. But once again, it's just, I think that's just about the amount before it pops out. But once again, I think that's a pretty good amount considering its design, and obviously 360 twist is possible. And of course, because this is a separate neck joint, make sure that the neck joint doesn't move too much to the side to make it look awkward. And now once again, here we have the arm slash shoulder, so you can see the oval sticker is still in there and protected by another clear piece on top, so you don't need to worry about that aspect. So overall, it's the same structure, but they add the inner purple piece right over here got much smaller, and then you apply these white pieces, then you attach this purple piece. Now I would like to mention these purple pieces are very stiff, so they don't go all the way in for some reason, and I feel like if I push a certain amount more, it's gonna break one of those pegs, but just do be careful as well. So once again, the arms can go about to the side more than 90 degrees, so that's pretty much good. Still maintains the same. And the main connection here being a ball joint, you do have the butterfly joint as well. 360 twist on the entire arm is possible, and then on the lower arm, technically also possible. And then here we have a nice bend, a little bit more than 90 degrees, and it return. And then this part also returns. So this was originally in the original kit. So once again, these parts are supposed to be like small cannons that are attached to the arm wrist. However, I'm not the biggest fan of the connection here, because obviously the way how this works is that you have these two pegs here and then they're just lying on these two parts here. So it's more of like a friction joint if you ask me. So it doesn't actually plug in. So it's just like holding onto it like a claw. So yeah, not the best, you know, connection, but still it works. It's not too loose, but also not too tight. So depending on your copy, it may feel a little bit different time to time. All right, so for the main body here, you have the top body here, and then you can see this middle section, so which allows you to have a nice ab crunch going on here. And then you can see the rotation only applies to the main top body, because this lower section is actually a single piece. So the part that moves is going to be the top section. So 360 not really going to be possible, or because there are parts colliding all the way. But if you clear the path away, then you can go 360 here. Just make sure that you're not colliding with a lot of parts here like what I'm doing here at the moment. Alright, so, and then before we go to the legs, now let's look at the back sections here. Now the original kit actually had a backpack, hence you know, these ports, but however this one does not, so these ports are going to be exposed. Although I do wish maybe they could have covered this up, because it does look a little bit awkward. Or who knows, maybe they're going to release another variant that has this and also the backpack, which is going to be a nightmare of management, because it's going to be colliding a lot with each other. So just wanted to point out the way how this connects. We have this small connecting port here that goes onto the back section or back of the waist section here as well. So once you have it connected, it's actually a pretty firm connection. So despite how small it looked, it's actually pretty secure. So this is as much it can go down, but it can also go upwards like that. And then we have these binders here, which allows it to go spread outwards a little bit and then go inwards a little bit. And then here we have these parts, which are also thrusters that can move inwards and outwards like that. So yeah, there are some articulation here. And then now this unit is supposed to be meant to be used on Earth, so hence in a gravity situation or environment. Hence, so back then, if the original kit would have these wireless pods here, these are no longer wireless, but these are just now connected to the main thing with these sub arms. Hence we have these parts going on here. So we have this main rotating part on the bottom, and then here we have another folding arm part, and then here we have part that can rotate, so if you want to change connection, and then also this thing can rotate on its own. So yeah, you can kind of go creative with this as well, and I do prefer this because once again, wireless kits, wireless or like fun little things that which they do provide these bendy wires, they always tend up to become very messy, and they don't work all the time depending on how heavy the equipment is. So yeah, I do. So once again, no need to worry about these. And yeah, of course, the part here I would like to mention is that this part is actually one of those C-clip type joints, so do be careful. These are easy to break than you think. So, and mine already has some of these white stress marks, so do be careful. Alright, now let's talk about these gigantic legs going on here, what they are. So, this is extra equipment here. First of all, the whole reason for this is that this is supposed to be a hover type unit. So basically, if you think about the DOM, they hover around. So they don't just walk around with those giant legs, they just hover around. So my guess is that this is also the same principle. Because not only that, if you look at the inside, we have these also thrusters on the inside as well. So and the manual also mentions that this is supposed to also hover around. So pretty well done if you ask me. But that's not the only thing that this thing is capable of doing. So the connection here is actually pretty interesting. This whole gigantic armor piece thing, you would think that there's one part that connects to the sides, and then one part connects to or a separate piece that connects to the lower section, but that's not the case. This entire thing is connected to the side, and the reason for that is that this is a gigantic sub-arm. So what you can do is you can pull this out, extend this, and then bring out these claws, and then it becomes a sub-arm. So the same goes for the other side, and here we have that thruster, which also allows it to move up and down as well for some reason. Now keep in mind the way how this joint is. There's a joint here, and then there's another connecting point here, but there's not going to be any rotation here, so don't rotate it. And yeah, so which is why one of the differences is obviously going to be the side piece, and then there's no knee protector here. Once again, the articulation is still there. You have a very nice joint bend there, and then the feet are still the ball jointed feet, so pretty well done. Another good thing is that they no longer use the high heel connection here. Obviously, I think the original design would be like it would have another feet here. It would have like a claw type feet here, and you have to not make it flat, but make it go downwards to form like a high heel kind of situation. I am not a big fan of those as well. And despite how big these sides are, you still do get a side swivel here, so no big deal. So yeah, and then obviously when you open this up, make sure that you are opening up the claws here, because that's also a crucial part of the design. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the kit, and despite how thick the sides are, you still get a nice spread or 90-degree to the side of the movement. And going forward, no big deal, because there's no front skirt or side skirt or back skirt armor. But of course, because of the back equipment, obviously going to the back is going to be much more tricky, so do as you will. So depending on this, some people might think this is cool, some people might think that this is a wacky design. It will depend on your preference. The reason why I bought this is that I somehow, in my head at the time, I misread something, or I was reading two things at the same time, and the information got jumbled up, and basically I misunderstood this unit, hence buying it. But either way, I'm still pretty satisfied with my purchase. Alright, so I think there's only one thing left to show. We'll attach all the equipment and end it off there. And before we go off, actually, I'll just mention that the other part, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So here we have all the things attached and everything unleashed. So once again, I have the rifle into the hand. It connects it with no problem as well. These are one of those hands that, let me actually get this part out so you can guys see. These are one of those hands you can just slide into the hand, so no separate trigger finger is actually required. And then once again, the beam saber hand, I think we have seen these a few times, where the beam saber hilt is a little bit too small for the hand, where it is going like through here. So this is not the first time, but once again, once you have a firm grip, it should be able to hold it with no problem as well. And once again, I should mention that the feet, if you want to get a more sub-arm or claw look going on here, you can kind of move the legs forward like that, so you can see the legs are going forward, and then you can like move the toe to make it look like another teeth, and then you can like close it up to make it look like it's trying to make it look like a dragon head, or like to have the tri-claw going on here as well. So if you want to do so, you can do that, but this is not really mentioned in the manual, so just wanted to point that out as well. And just to also notify you guys that the toe, there is still the toe bend here, the weird, movement on the feet here as well. Alright, so, and finally, regarding the beam sabers, you might be wondering where the hell did those come from. So, they're actually stored here. So, you can see, open this section up and it reveals the beam saber. So, yeah, they did actually consider some weapon storage as well. And that is pretty much it for the review. So if you're a big fan of this specific mobile suit line, and if you want to increase your collection, I would say go for it. But once again, if you're not really interested in these type of designs, I do know, because once again, this is a very uncommon design as well. So it may not be for everyone. But I do want to mention that, you know, it has an interesting gimmick where it has a foldable, you know, sub arm inside here. You can see there's one joint, and then there's another joint there, and then there's another joint that connects it there, hence having a good amount of range of movement, but once again, not exactly might be meant for everyone. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the review. This was the review of the P-Bandai exclusive or P-Bandai exclusive HD Beguir Beu Torche or Torch. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave them comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.